And on today's podcast with jet lag experts and in the area of sleep and circadian rhythm, I have James Wilson here, who comes from his organization Kipmate, and he's got an unconventional path to being a sleep expert. So, James, thank you for joining us today. How did you become the sleep expert?
So I am the sleep geek, a man in glasses who knows a lot about sleep. As you can see, I live the brand. I I've always been around sleep. I've always been around sleep, and I am genetically predisposed to poor sleep. So my mother was a poor sleeper. My
Mm,
grandfather was a poor sleeper. So it's come through our family, this sort of like inability to sustain sleep, in particular. But for me, there's a bit of a problem because my family made beds and mattresses, and you wouldn't buy a mattress off a man who can't sleep, would you? So it was never a good marketing tool for my career as a person running a bed company. And and I kind of didn't talk about it. I've been an academy footballer, soccer player in the UK, and
hmm
I'd gone to like university. I thought everyone didn't sleep. I thought everyone just like stayed in bed all night and listened to talk radio stations. I thought this was normal. And in my mid-20s, the company I was running, we employed a sleep expert to work with us. And I'm going to be honest, Steve, he was a bit of a dipstick. He was not a very nice man.
Oh,
Um, he had the attitude that poor sleepers were poor sleepers because they weren't trying hard enough. That sort of like idea, like you're an
oh,
idiot. You're an idiot. I'm a doctor. It must be you because I'm a doctor. That sort of vibe. So I was a
right.
trustee of a charity, a kids sleep charity, and they were really busy. So I came off their board of trustees, trained as a practitioner, worked primarily with teenagers. So I led the largest teenage sleep project in the UK within existing school start time. So as you
Right.
know, circadian rhythms
Now,
in
what?
teenage.
Now, yes. Now, just want to come back to that. Teenager, what time does school start in the UK?
No, it can be anywhere between 8 and 9 normally. When I was at
Right.
school 30 years
Okay.
ago, it was normally 9 with lessons starting at half 9. A lot more common for 8 o'clock now. But
Oh
often that
dear,
means kids are getting up
that's
at
backwards.
6. Yeah, so we've gone
Right.
backwards, getting up
No, I
at
was just
6. Not
horrified in a recent interview with Lynn Peoples, and they have start times for the high schools in the US at 7:15, 7:20.
7 o'clock, I know.
That's insane
Yeah.
for teenagers. I mean, teenagers are generally night owls. That's just biology. And unfortunately for me, that stuck I mean, the whole life. So I still behave like a teenager in terms of my sleep.
Rock and roll, Steve. Though I'm a more of a lark. I'm a sad old individual who goes to bed early. You're
Um,
rock and roll. You're sexy. Owls are sexy. Larks are not.
well, I hadn't thought of my night owlness as sexy, but there you go. So you're working with you're a mattress company. You've got the family mattress company, and you're a bad advertisement if you don't sleep well.
That's
So
it. And so I work with the charity. They put me forward for a TV program in the UK on public broadcaster called Channel 4.
right,
And my job was really to translate my esteemed colleagues and put it into normal people's language. So I
put
was
it into English.
put it into English, yes. And obviously, if I am a Yorkshireman, so I'm from the north of England. Um,
Hmm.
Relatable accent in the UK, and sometimes seen as friendly, sometimes seen as a friendly accent. So, and I've always, my degree was in marketing. I've always loved stories. I
So what
spend a
was the
lot of
TV program you were working with?
It was called The Secrets of Sleep. The Secrets
Oh,
of Sleep.
right.
Now, it was big in Singapore, supposedly. So
Oh, okay.
if anyone's watching this or listening to this in Singapore, I expect that at some point I will go to Singapore and there'll be posters up on the walls, like on billboards and stuff. Not
So
quite, not quite as popular in the
it's
UK, in all honesty.
it's the translation of being big in Japan. It's
Yes,
big in
yes,
Singapore.
that's it. Yeah, big in Singapore. But that taught me that what I was good at is explaining sleep, translating sleep, making it
Yeah.
relatable. Because I understand what it feels like to be a poor sleeper,
Hmm.
and then I started working with organisations and sports teams. So I've worked with like some quite well-known brands. Worked with people like Ernst and Young. I've worked with people like AB World Foods, who do have some. They do have some offices in Australia. Worked with Under Armour, and I work a lot in sports. So I would argue I'm the winningest sleep coach in soccer. I've got 5 promotions, 2 trophies, including Europa Conference League with West Ham, and this season I'm working with Coventry City. who were managed by Frank Lampard. So sport's hard. I would say it's hard, and jet lag comes a lot into the work I do in sport because we even that 2 3 hour shift going from the UK to say Eastern Europe,
Hmm.
when you compete in twice a week, and you've got to decide: do we fly back
Yes.
after the game or do we fly back in the morning? And but because you've not just got the biology, have you? You've got the cultural aspects of like, well,
Mm.
if players want to fly home at night because they want to get back to their families, and if you don't do that, that can. So it's really interesting the work around kind of travel within sport that I do, and my approach is all about taking stress out of sleep. So I believe that one the main driver 10 years ago when I was doing this it was insomnia. People couldn't sleep because genetic predisposition, or they were,
Mm.
they were suffering from that sort of like chronic. What I was training CBTI, kind of your classic CBTI type patient, cognitive behavior therapy for
CBTI?
cognitive behavior
CBT.
therapy for insomnia, which is the
Yep.
gold standard for like insomnia treatment, particularly chronic insomnia. Now, 90% of the people I work with have got orthosomnia. They are trying too hard. They are seeking perfection. They are being
Uh,
sold a load of, as we're going to discuss, sleep bollocks by charlatans,
mm.
shysters, snake oil salespeople,
There's a
which
lot
is
of them in the sleep space, aren't there?
there is, and we're not regulated. There's no regulator. As we were discussing
No.
before, we come no regulation in sleep. There's no governing body. Anyone could be a sleep expert, and what that means is it's down to an individual's morals and ethics, and everyone has a different moral compass, and some people's moral
Mm.
compasses are broken. I would argue.
Or yes. So it's interesting that there is people trying too hard to sleep because, there's I have to get to sleep and I have to get to sleep. And of course, when you're in that mode, you don't get to sleep. And people have said, what happens if you can't get to sleep? I said, well, I just say I'm going to rest. Like, if I can't sleep, I'll rest. I just lie in bed, no lights on, no computer, no nothing. I'm just going to lie here and just chill. If I sleep, I sleep. If I don't, I don't.
And acceptance is really powerful. Like poor sleepers, the strongest thing for me as a poor sleeper and for the people I work with is an acceptance that I'll get through tomorrow. So often poor sleepers have quite active brains, perfectionists. So it's
Mhm.
inherent in them. And I think like distraction can help. So like sound can help because our hearing is quite a sensitive sense. Listening to something, maybe like a spoken word book you've read before, that can be quite helpful. Music you love,
Okay.
even if it's AC/DC, doesn't matter. Music you love, as long as you love it. No Adele, no like breakup songs, but
No,
good,
no,
good music
no
that
heavy
makes you.
metal.
No, yeah, but heavy metal's fine. If you love heavy
Really?
metal, yeah, yeah. There's
Okay.
some research. There's some research that
Okay.
showed it was about the emotional connection. So I would argue, if we're going to go,
Okay.
how do you sleep well, and we put it into simple terms, it's about being physically and emotionally secure. Because one of the things about poor sleep is what we call poor sleep is that not poor
Mm.
sleep, it's the way we're designed as animals. When we had predators, we're designed when there's a threat to not sleep. So
Yes.
if you don't sleep when there's a threat, you're working as a human should. If you sleep when there's a
Mm.
threat, your ancestors should have got eaten millennia ago by a saber-toothed tiger.
Wow.
And in
This that
fact,
ex Yeah, that makes complete. This explains why horses don't sleep a lot. They only sleep about
yeah,
3 hours because they're a big target for predators because they're a big lump of meat.
yeah, yeah,
Lions go
exactly.
after that, so they don't sleep a lot and they're very skittish when they do because of
And,
predators.
and that's it. So we see so what we call poor sleep is not poor sleep. What we need to do is convince your brain and your body that you are safe, and
It's
that's
safe.
that's
Oh,
about taking the stress out of sleep. That's if you feel emotionally and physically, emotionally is part of it. I know, like if you've ever slept next to someone that you didn't love, or you're in relationship problems, even the best sleepers are affected then because they don't feel
right.
emotionally secure. So there's quite a big emotional aspect to sleep, I would argue, that we often forget about when we
Mm,
focus on the biology of sleep.
that's an interesting thing. I found this happened to me recently. I went away for a weekend to celebrate a friend's father's birthday, and I was sleeping in a strange bed. Oh, my body, no, did not like that.
Yeah.
One friend's got their phone on looking, another one's looking like, no, I can't sleep in this. And I had really broken sleep. But I noticed, staying in a hotel, for example, it's harder to get good sleep because this isn't my environment.
And the research shows us it takes about 3 days to get used to a new environment, and it makes sense again because as a nomadic animal, when we first evolved, when we're in a
Mm.
new place, that first couple of days we don't know what the threat is in this new place. So we
Yeah.
are we're sort of we're a bit your hearing's a bit more sensitive. What's that noise?
Yes.
So what I do
What's
with
it?
my soccer players, quite a common thing because they're often in hotels a lot. We get them to take
Hmm.
their partner's aftershave or perfume because smell's
Oh,
quite a powerful thing for emotional connection.
yes.
So take your partner's aftershave or perfume. That make now not one of my male soccer players will admit to this. They're all a bit sheepish in coming forward. And if, like some of them, you have more than one partner, the answer to the question is you take the smell of the one that smells best. That is what you do if you have more than one partner. But so
Right.
it's that emotional thing again. It's the senses, it's emotion, it's safety, and that's what I focus on a lot in my work.
That's a genius and a very simple solution. Your partner's perfume or, scent, fragrance, aftershave, whatever. That's a genius solution. And a very simple one that you can.
And I like simple things. I like stuff that's free and that's simple. You've already got the smell in the house. You can take it with you. And I'll overshare with you, Steve. I do this myself because I'm a very needy sleeper. I'm very emotionally needy. So I take my wife's smell with me on a t-shirt, get to a hotel, put it on a pillow, give it a cuddle before I go to sleep. Feels like,
Wow.
get that sense of like connection. Now I want to be clear, I'm not weird. I don't put a face on it.
No,
I'm not touching the pillow in the wrong way. There's nothing dodgy going
that's
on
something
about it.
primal.
Yeah, it's
And
just that.
what is your wife? What is your wife? I imagine that's an interesting conversation when you first, sit down with your wife and said, "Hey, I'd like to take some of your perfume, sprayed on a t-shirt when I travel, put it on a pillow and cuddle it." I
Do you
mean,
know,
that's
my
an
wife knows
interesting
me
conversation to have.
she knows me very well and was not surprised by that request. Put it that way.
That's when you know you've got a keeper.
That's it. And again,
When she's done like, "Yep, okay, that's what I expect."
Steve, I don't know
Well,
what
she'd
you
know
found.
how poor a sleeper you are, I'd imagine. Better,
Well, that's it. And
just
the
ready.
interesting thing is, so I don't know what you found in your life, but in my work, I see often a good sleeper attracted to a poor sleeper, a hot sleeper attracted to a cold sleeper, an owl
Oh,
and a lark. So we have this difference in relationships, which makes sense again, because I'm a poor sleeper. I want to cancel my poor sleep genes out. I'm a lark. Well, if we have kids together, one's a lark, one's an owl. That's good for bringing kids up. So it's really interesting.
yeah.
Again, I'm sure you've talked about it on this around that research around how we're kind of like how our circadian rhythm fits into the community that we live in, and I find that stuff
Mm,
really interesting.
yeah, chronodiversity.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. I
and
think there was a tribe in Africa, and there was so much chronodiversity they were only all asleep for about 18 minutes in
yeah,
24
yeah.
hours. Some were up very early, some were up quite late, quite a lot in between. And yeah, I think there's certainly truth in saying that opposites attract and then drive each other nuts.
That is true. So when it comes to sleep, and I've worked with people who split up, and that because in a relationship you've often got a sleep dictator. So that's someone who
Oh,
who who demands that sleep is about them. I want to go to bed at this time. I want to do this before bed. I want to wake up at this time. And I've worked with people where I had a fella who would cut his toenails in bed while his wife's trying to sleep. I've had some of the selfish behaviour we display as humans. I had another fella.
having your
He
toenails in bed is gross to begin with, let alone,
exactly,
oh,
exactly.
no, that's divorce papers. I'm sorry.
And it's like our relationships are really really important. And I will work with people who are suffering from maybe like parasomnias. And one of the triggers is they're a bit more like maybe they're a bit of a middle to early type, and they're also a bit of middle to late type, and their partner wants them to go to bed at 9:30. And that stress is
Yeah.
triggering their sleepwalking because they're going to bed in an anxious state. It took them 2 or 3 hours to get to sleep because they're
Mm,
not they're not going to bed at the time that's right for them, and it's triggering like it's a trigger of their kind of like parasomnia. So it's
yeah. And
relationships
then
are
the sleep
so
dictator wants to get them up early because they're getting up early. So why are
yeah,
they
yeah,
sleeping in?
yeah.
Oh, so we're overthrowing sleep dictators as well.
Brothers and sisters, you can free yourself from the fascist regime you live under if you live with a sleep dictator. That's what you can do.
Wonderful, wonderful. Um, Talked about your work with football. Now we have to talk about a few things that come into the realm of sleep bollocks.
Yes.
Um, the latest one I keep seeing is red light in your fridge.
A good one,
You
isn't
know.
it? A good one. So I'll explain what sleep bollocks is. Sleep bollocks is this time last year, roughly, early March 2024. I just got fed up of it all. I got fed up of all the like rubbish that was being talked about sleep and all these people. Like, because I was dealing a lot with orthosomnia, this perfectionism, this obsession with sleep, and a lot was being
Mm,
driven by brands marketing with no ethics, by experts
yeah.
telling you you're going to die if you have less than 7 hours sleep for one night. You're going to get smaller testicles as men because you don't get 5 hours sleep.
What? I haven't heard that one.
Oh, Matthew
Your
Walker.
testicles shrink?
So Matthew Walker, famous sleep researcher, wrote the book Why We Sleep. There's two drivers of my work in organisations and sports teams. One is sleep trackers, wearables, your Aura Ring, your Fitbit, your Whoop, your sleep cycle. The other one is the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, because it's a really interesting book about the science of sleep that
Yeah.
really focuses um, on the mistakes, on like we're idiots and you don't understand. So basically, you're going to die if you don't get enough sleep for one night. If you don't get 7 hours sleep, and he's decided what enough sleep is for you and all the rest of us. 7 hours sleep for one night, you're going to die earlier. And the problem with that is, as a poor sleeper, is at 5 to 12, if you're trying to get to sleep, you got to get up at 7. You're going to be quite stressed, aren't you, if you think about death? And he has
Mm,
all these like all these things. You're going to get diabetes if you have less than 5 hours sleep for 5 nights. You're going to get smaller testicles if you have less than 5 hours sleep on a regular basis. You're going to get well, let's get cancer if you have less than 4 hours sleep. The problem is that we have an ongoing research study into sleep deprivation that's been going on since time began, and it's called
right.
parenthood. And there's no evidence to show that parents live any less, more likely to get cancer, more likely to get diabetes, or have smaller testicles. And in fact, I would argue if you've got more than two kids, well, the first kid probably disrupted your sleep. The second one, you've still had the kid, despite Matt claiming you've got small balls. And it's just scaring people. This sort of like this
Mm,
bollocks out there. So this
yeah.
time last year, I did the first one. The first winner was mouth taping, so covering your
Oh
mouth during
yes,
sleep.
that's one that's come up, taping up your mouth.
Yeah,
I wish that some of these sleep influencers would keep their mouth taped during the
it
day.
would be good, wouldn't it? It would be good.
That would be lovely.
It would be good. And because of that, we have a thing called Dragon's Den in the UK, like Shark Tank, like a business
What's
program
it
where
called?
you get invest. Dragon's Den. It's a business
Dragon
program.
Den. Okay, it's like Shark Tank in the
Yeah,
US.
like Shark Tank. And a mouth taping brand was going on there, and a newspaper asked me about mouth taping. And I said, in politer terms, it's a load of
Yeah,
baloney, without using the bollocks. And the brand got pulled. Never, no explanation why. We can guess because there's no real evidence
no
around mouth
science
taping.
behind it.
Couple of angry emails from the founder of the brand. Asked me to go on his podcast to talk about the science of mouth taping. I pointed out there is no science, so it'll be a very short podcast. Never heard from him since. So this year, the winner was, as you said, red light in a fridge. So
Yeah.
an expert, and actually a sleep expert, has a podcast about sleep. Charges you $4,000 US dollars to help you sleep better, but you can only use an Aura ring. You can only use an Aura ring. No, no
Hang on.
talking.
It's $4,000 for a red light bulb for your fridge.
No, $4,000. Sorry, so $4,000 for her sleep program, where she will help you sleep better by doing things like putting a red light bulb in your fridge. Um,
Well, I mean, unless you're running a brothel in your fridge, no judgment if you are, but I've seen this red light in your fridge is like the fact that you're opening your fridge and getting food at night is probably the reason for disturbed sleep, not the color of the light, you
and
know.
obviously, if you're trying to cure like a circadian rhythm disorder, you would have a light source that is very, very strong, like really strong. You wouldn't use a fridge light, would you? Fridge light would not be the first choice for
No,
trying to change someone's circadian rhythm. So,
no,
why
if
would
you're
going like
using
that?
light therapy, no, I don't think a fridge light would really cut it, would it?
So also not just that, she also puts red film over the light on her bidet in her bathroom. Now bidets aren't popular in the UK. Don't know about Australia. We don't really have
Not
as a
really
culture
here. No, they
now.
haven't caught
I
on
think,
here.
but I can't imagine you going for a wee in the middle of the night that this bidet's the sun and is going to wake you up. But you do get people arguing because one thing about sleep is because of people like Andrew Huberman and because of Stephen Bartlett and Joe Rogan and these sorts of podcasters. Every
Yeah.
every uh, every every fella who's trying to change his life are now a sleep expert, and you'll get some bloke who's like a mid-level accountant in a accounting firm in the middle of some place in America, arguing with you about no, I think she's right. I think I've read a paper that says red light, blah, 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 blah. And and it's like if you actually argue back with every single person who did that, it does get quite tiring. And I think that's just another good point on this sleep bollock stuff because I did a bit on in the media about 3 weeks ago about bed socks. So wearing socks
Bed
in bed.
socks.
Yeah. So wearing socks in
Um,
bed.
because your feet get cold?
Because there was some research that proved that if you wear socks in bed, you will fall asleep 7 minutes faster and you'll get 29 minutes more sleep. So a lot of like influencers, like medical influencers, are hooked onto this and gone big on TikTok. What I did was go and look at the research that they'd used to base this on. Do you know how many people were in the research?
How many?
6.
Okay. Correlation is not causation in this case. I can't see how. I have worn socks to bed on really cold nights, which there are a few months off down here in Australia. But yeah, a study with 6 people is not a study. It's a pilot study at best.
It's probably
It's
pushing
it's
that.
like more research is required in this area.
It's like going to like a soccer match and the 5 blokes around me going, try these socks, tell me what you think. Or like if you're in a church, going to church and asking, it's like this is not a control group. It's not a research study. And,
No,
and the lowest amount of people I've seen in a study about sleep, I think it was about the direction that you slept in. It was two
the
people.
direction.
The
What,
direction
as
you
in
slept.
compass direction?
Yeah, it's in compass direction. It's in like feng shui type vibe, I think.
Mm. It
But the
wasn't to do with
problem,
magnetic fields or something.
I don't know. I read the two people and stopped reading. But we've seen this though, aren't we, Steve? We've seen this where you've got like James Nestor, who's written the book Breathe. That's a book about his experience of trying to adjust his breathing. That's a data set of one. You've got a fellow in the
Yeah.
States at the moment, Brian Johnson, who's trying to make himself younger. And again, he's got a data set of one, but the audience is taking it as fact that, well, if it works for him,
It worked for
I,
them.
I, was, I put something about him on LinkedIn last week about his sort of like, this is his protocol for sleep. And all these experts are very instructional, whether it's Molly telling you to put a red light in your fridge or whether it's Brian Johnson telling you that you should fall asleep like that, which actually is wrong because if you fall asleep like that, that's a sign of sleep deprivation. You're not in
Yeah.
a healthy
And
way to
and
fall asleep.
and again, that's just not how we evolved in the threat of predators. Be like, we know it's safe, we know it's safe, then we can sleep. Yeah. That's just
Not boom.
does not make sense.
If you can
Yeah.
sleep anywhere, you are a lovely snack for a predator, aren't you? That
That's
is
it.
the whole thing about being able to sleep anywhere. But people perceive that means you're a good sleeper, and it doesn't. It doesn't because
No,
just being able to sleep anywhere doesn't make you a good sleeper.
no. Also, this latest is sleeping on your back makes you ugly. Talk me through
Yes.
that one.
Now that was a TikTok one again. Now the fella telling you, if anyone wants to see these videos, you can go to my social media. I am at the Sleep Geek, and on my Instagram, on my LinkedIn, on my TikTok, they're all there. Got a white coat on, so he must be a doctor. Got a white coat on, must be a doctor. He said that if you lay on your back, so just imagine if you're laying on your back, he's pushing your jaw down, that makes you ugly. Laying on your back makes you ugly. And this pillow he's
But
got, this pillow,
when you get up, your jaw and your back go back into place, don't they? I mean,
they do, yes,
you're
they
not
do, yes.
frozen into position when.
You know. But he had a pillow to sell. Tell you, he had a pillow to sell. So he had a pillow that would help you sleep on your side. Because again, this thing with pillows, like this pillow is suitable for a side sleeper. This pillow is suitable for a back sleeper. Well, we're all different in shape. There's not one pillow that's suitable for a back sleeper. There's not one pillow suitable for a side sleeper. There's not one pillow that's going to cure your back problems. These things are bollocks. And the problem
I've never
is,
heard of customized pillows for. Now, you come from a mattress background. Have you seen these pillows that are different for side sleepers?
well,
I wonder
if
if
they're
you're a
not
side sleeper
customized,
that changes sides, which is what I am. I change sides throughout the
yeah.
night.
So what they say is a side sleeper pillow is a bit deeper, so that's a side sleeper pillow, and a back sleeper pillow is a bit shallower. That's a
Mm,
back sleeper pillow. But if you've got really like narrow shoulders, like me, I've got really
mm.
broad shoulders. So at the moment, I'm developing a pillow. I'm working on a pillow to not solve this problem, but try and be be right for most people. And with my stepdaughter is 13 and she's very got narrow shoulders. Should I create a
Right.
pillow that I can sleep on my side and she can sleep on her side? It might work, it might not, but we've seen that. But again, that pillow is not right for everyone because that
No.
pillow is I'm trying to develop a pillow that's right for most people. But it's
Yeah.
not really sexy tagline, is it, for a product? This product is right for most people, but that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. No, because I've got broad shoulders and I only like thin pillows. I don't like big puffy ones. I hate multiple pillows.
Yeah.
It's a
And we'll
strong
do- and it's
preference.
and it's that thing where a pillow, a mattress, a duvet, I would argue the three most important products you own when it comes to sleep, because you spend more time on that with them so than anything else. But they're about support. Do they support your body? They're
Yeah.
about feel. Does it feel right to you? So for you, a high pillow doesn't feel right. That's
No.
your cultural preference. And then
Mm.
temperature, because we need to be the right temperature to
Mm.
sleep. And if you've got a memory foam mattress or you've got a foam mattress, doesn't they might make some claims this mattress is magic and it'll make you be cool. But if you're a woman living with the menopause, if it's got foam in it, that's an insulator. So that doesn't matter what they
Oh,
do, that will insulate the heat. So again, a real sort of like the way they're marketed, people aren't being honest, and the honesty is in the if buts and maybes. And marketers
yeah.
don't like if buts and maybes. Marketers like
No.
definiteness.
This product will change your life is
Exactly.
the sort of and we've got to talk about one last big bit of sleep bollocks. Um, 5 a.m. club, a
Oh,
personal pet hate of mine.
you told me you weren't a
Absolute
fan of the
pet
5 a.m.
hate.
club. I would say if you watch so exercise, it's nice to have. Like, so there's four things we need to live: food, water, air, and sleep.
Yeah,
You can live longer without food than you can without sleep. So sleep's pretty important to us being alive. Like and it can be difficult to get, particularly if it's around that time. You know, you're in REM sleep, you're more likely to wake up. It's harder to sustain. So you get up at 5 a.m. because you want to be a better version of yourself. You want to be a perfect human being. That it's often driven by that idea, isn't it? You want to go to the
yeah,
gym. We get up and exercise. We see the sunrise to be at one with nature. But if you're doing that sounds like a hobby to me. That sounds like something that's nice to have. Sleep is a must-have. So why would you replace the must-have with a nice to have? So if you're up at
yeah.
5, because you're more of an early type, you're a bit more of a lark, naturally, you want to
Mm,
go and stand outside and look at sunrise, not a problem for me. If you're setting your
yeah,
alarm and you're doing that 2 weeks after, you're still doing it 2 weeks after you've started doing, you get up at 5,
mm.
that's not your body's natural rhythm, and
No, no,
you are all this stuff around like the impact of sleep and we're going to die if you don't get it.
yeah,
That long term impact of a 5 a.m. start. Some people you work with them, I work with them. Shift workers have to do it.
yeah, yeah,
No, when you tell them about the if you tell a shift worker about a 5 a.m. club, they can't understand why someone would do that because they have to, and it's horrible. And that
yeah.
that is what I don't like about the 5 a.m. club. It's the
No,
bullshit in
Uh,
it.
yeah. It's we're coming into an awareness of chronodiversity, and those of us who like to be up at the crack of noon, 5 a.m. club is just not right. It's just unenjoyable. I had to be up for a 7 a.m. meet, and that was hard. That was hard going. So I don't want to do 5.
And don't you think in society, in from biblical times, we have been punishing late types. We've been punishing people who are
Mm,
more out. The early bird
absolutely.
catches the word. The godly man wakes early. So all this stuff like these blokes on social media quoting Stoic philosophers from Greek mythology, from the Greek, not mythology, they were real, from
Yeah,
Greek time, who Marcus Andrea, something with us at the end, and they're like, oh, he knew, he got up at 5 in the morning, and he died at probably 25. He probably died
yeah,
at 25. He
yeah.
probably had to get up
So
because some Spartans had turned up at door and they were going to kill him. These are different times,
yeah,
but people have to, but we shouldn't choose to.
yeah.
Is my argument.
No, excellent. Now, you've got Kipmate is your business.
Yes, so Kipmate is a team of experts, and we help people in organisations, in sports teams, get the best sleep possible. So we have, I'm the founder, but we have other experts in things like sleep and nutrition. We have experts in baby and kid sleep. We have expertise like a sleep clinic for things like sleep apnea and disorders like that. And we also have the UK's only sleep vet, because at the moment, one of the
Oh,
big disturbers of sleep are pets. people, they've got a pet, brought into their bedroom. The pet is their sleep dictator. The pet is, pinning
Oh,
them to the bed, or
wanting to be
dogs are,
fed at 6 a.m.?
oh, just they want to be asleep and they don't want their human to move. Cats, in
Yeah,
particular, cats are dawn and dusk animals. So I'd like not to be awake at dawn, but if you've got a cat, cats also they're not scared to punch you in the face. In all honesty,
yeah,
they will
yeah.
make their feelings quite known, sometimes
Yeah,
physically.
I
So
don't think we domesticated cats. I think cats domesticated us.
yeah, and that's exactly. And if they've decided they want to be in your bedroom, they'll be in your bedroom. So we have
That's
a
it.
yeah. My colleague Lauren, she supports people in the organisations and sports teams we work with. We do webinars, seminars. We've got an app, a web app, and we do like one-on-one support as well. So we'll maybe like I work with like CEOs, I work with leadership teams, and we offer that kind of like that they maybe they maybe have quite a stressful job and they may need a little bit more support because of that. And with as a sleep geek, we have Sleep Bollocks, the Sleep Bollocks podcast. Will be launching in a couple of weeks, so look out for that on your
Wonderful.
favorite feed or
Okay,
YouTube.
I will notify that when that comes out. I'll notify the audiences. Yeah. So when is that coming out? What date?
End of March, probably the last Thursday of March, although that is next week. So it'll either be the 28th or the 3rd of April, depending on how quickly I get myself in gear to do the social media editing I need to do.
Right. Okay, well, that's everything. Thank you so much for joining us, James, and best of luck with the podcast and your business, helping people sleep.
Sleep well.